Hey guys, it's John and Matt again. Welcome to the third episode of the Guaranteed Fitness podcast of Awesomeness. There's some super cool stuff for you today. Before we get on to that though, for those guys of you that have been listening to the podcast and enjoying them, we would super appreciate it if you could go to the iTunes store or wherever else you guys are getting this from and give us a rating. We don't get paid anything for doing this. If this costs us money to do a podcast, the more you guys can help spread the word, the more worthwhile it is, and the longer we'll keep doing, the better guests we'll get, and so on.
Welcome to the Guaranteed Fitness podcast of Awesomeness, where you'll discover hints, tips, and ideas on how to transform your lives and bodies, and how to become what you always wanted to be, with your hosts, Chief Ninjas, John the Guru Hall, and Matthew Can't Spell Nicholson.
So as always, guys, this week's episode is going to cover the format of, we're going to look at this week's thing, question of the week. We've got a fantastic interview coming up as well with Fran and Jeremy, who are a couple who are members at our Guaranteed Fitness Club at Macclesfield. They're going to give us a bit of a different angle to what we've had so far, where we're looking at what they've done together as a couple and the transformations that have made to their life as a pair. But before that, though, we've got, as always, the question of the week. So here comes the jingle.
Ask John and Matt.
Okay, Matt, what's this week's question of the week?
This week's question of the week is from Darren Klemenkic, one of our friends from Leeds. His question was, how are you guys so dedicated to it all?
Excellent, Matt. And did Darren spell those words properly, or did he abbreviate his text talk and put a few misspellings in there?
The R and U were abbreviated, but we'll let him off.
We'll let him off.
Because he's a cool dude.
He's a good guy, Darren. Right, for those of you that don't know Darren actually lived in Macclesfield until about a year ago, and coincidentally, Darren's one of my students. I did a bit of work for the PT Academy training new personal trainers, and I trained Darren up to be a personal trainer year and a half or so ago. I think he's finished now, and ended up moving up to Leeds because his girlfriend is there, and he works at the DW Sports Fitness Club in Leeds, which, funny enough, was one of my clubs when I was an area manager, so a small world there. So I think what Darren actually asked was, the question that he gets asked the most is, how are you so dedicated to it all? And when I saw this come through from Darren, I thought, actually, the question that Darren gets the most is probably, why have you never got a shirt on? Now, Darren is super lean. He's got ripped over the last couple of years. And pretty much every photo I see of him on Facebook, he doesn't have a shirt on. And what's really interesting to me and Matt is how different an approach that is from what we do, because Darren has a very different target market that he works with. So you will see a lot of personal trainers out there putting pictures on Facebook of themselves with their shirt off or some ridiculous workout they've done. And that actually only appeals to a very small section of the overall market, the sort of person that likes to do really hard workouts for fun and likes taking their shirt off to show people their abs, which is Darren's market, and that's fantastic. But you guys have probably noticed the sort of stuff me and Matt put out there is very different to that conventional personal trainer stuff, because we appreciate the people that come and see us and that enjoy the atmosphere that we've created don't actually like that sort of stuff. They like learning new skills, new ideas, they want to transform their lives and their bodies, rather than being the sort of person who just enjoy a workout for the sake of it and taking the shirt off. But anyway, back to Darren's question, because it is relevant. Darren, as it says here, is often asked, how are you so dedicated to it all? And really the answer to that we've found from speaking to people like Darren, from ourselves, and from all the people who've ever worked with Guaranteed Fitness, is it's that change in thought process. When people come at it with the perspective of it being effort, having to work hard to try and go to the gym, try and do your exercise, to cut back on this, the whole, I love cake, I love wine, or what have you, but I'm going to have less of it the rest of my life, it's always hard work. When people change their thought processes and reevaluate the way they think about things, the way they perceive certain foods, certain things in their lives, when they look at self-limiting beliefs, their habits and so on, and over time change those thought processes, it just becomes your new way of life. There's no dedication needed. Darren doesn't have to try hard to do his exercise, to eat well, in the same way that I don't now either, and Matt doesn't. For those of you that read the blog, you'll know I was overweight until about 12 years ago now. And when I tried to lose weight previously, it was always that hard work. It was a graft. It was an effort. But then I looked at changing my thought process, my mindset, and the way that I perceive things, and it just became my new way of life. And actually, in next week's podcast, we're not recorded it yet, but it's with a guy called Matt, I know, who lives in Sheffield. again, long-time term readers of the blog will know it's the guy I had my first wrestling match against over 10 years ago now. And he sent me a text recently which really showed that approach had worked for him. He changed his thought process about the way he was looking at weight loss and health and all that sort of stuff. And he was just finding it easy now. It wasn't that constant hard work that he's fought for the last 20 years, it'll be in Matt's case. It's now just his new way of life. So the answer to Darren's question, a long-winded answer there, but is rather than thinking about it being something you need to be dedicated to and it being hard work and a graft, look at changing some of your thought processes and making it your new way of life. Okay, right guys, next bit we've got this week's thing, and Matt, he went backwards a little bit last week, but I've still got faith in him. He's going to bust out an absolutely awesome this week's thing jingle. So Matt, hit something.
The thing of the week.
That is a comeback and a half, mate. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was good, that was. Do you think you can go from strength to strength each week? So like every week you do a better and better jingle?
I'll try.
Do you want to get some practice in while we're not on this, or you could maybe practice in front of Emma?
I'll be practicing a lot, don't you worry.
Yeah, nice one, mate. So Matt, what's this week's thing of the week?
Well, this week's thing of the week is, because last week's webinar went so well with the Christmas damage limitations, we're going to do another webinar on shifting stubborn belly fat and 5 unknown tricks. So if anybody wants to jump on that, if you go over to guaranteedfitness.co.uk, you can see the link to that and join in the webinar. That
sounds awesome. I look forward to it. Okay, guys, so on to this week's interview. As I mentioned, it's with Fran and Jeremy, a couple at Macclesfield. We'll go straight into the interview. Okay, guys, so in today's podcast interview, I've got with us Fran and Jeremy. Fran and Jeremy are a married couple who come to our ARC in Macclesfield. They joined us about 3 months ago, is it, guys?
Yep.
Awesome, yeah. And the point of today's podcast interview is to get a bit of a different slant to some of the last couple of ones, looking at the couple's perspective. Fran and Jeremy always come down to the same sessions, 6:30 in the morning, 3 or 4 days or so a week. So it'll be interesting to see their take on their journey and what have you. So, guys, I've obviously known you for 3 months. Tell us a little bit about yourselves before we met you.
Okay, I have done a lot of dance, a lot of theatre work for years. Was fairly active as a student, and then hit 2021, started working in a bar, and it just slowly went downhill. Takeouts at the end of a late shift, lots of sugary drinks, and then met Jeremy at work. Moved in together fairly quickly, and then it just...
Interesting enough, Jeremy just looked down, shamefaced when she pointed that out. Was Jeremy the beginning of the end, so to speak?
Yeah, a little bit. No, bless you.
This is Leslie from the boss.
I was Jeremy's boss, which wasn't officially allowed, so Jeremy had to leave. But yeah, it all worked out quite well.
It all worked out worthwhile in the end.
And
cool.
then, it was just the usual cosy nights in with a takeaway, bottle of wine, and you just get complacent.
Just got into bad habits straight away. It was whatever was easy. You know, you sort of get into come home from work, I'm tired, I can't be bothered. Chinese is around the corner, so we just get Chinese. And as much as it's convenient and everything, you sort of start thinking, these trousers aren't fitting as well, and then you kind of kid yourself. It was like, I haven't bought trousers in ages, that's why I've got to buy a slightly bigger size. It's not that I put on weight or anything like that, and that kind of carried on for quite a while, didn't it? I mean, I used to be fairly active because I used to work in Boynton and cycle to work every day, which was fine, but I'd then make up for the fact that I'd cycled 8 miles by eating 3 or 4 packs of biscuits while at work and sugary cups of tea and things, and just generally everything that was bad for you, but it was just
easy. It
was easy and it was there.
Of course, yeah. So have you guys tried other things in the past then, previous attempts to lose weight, get fit, etc.?
I went to Weight Watchers, really with the goal. I had a holiday that I wanted to lose weight for. Did fairly okay on it, but it was more of I'll lose a stone, that'll be fine. Then we both went to Slimming World and didn't get on with it.
I just didn't get on. I think it was, with all respect, it seems to be more that's aimed at more of the female market particularly. And the lady who was running it fairly belittled me as pretty much the only bloke in the room, and it was just a bit like, you're really not encouraging me and making me feel like this is something I want to do. And the whole, it was the red day, green day thing that was going on, and it was you could only eat this on this day and only eat that on that day, and
it wasn't for us.
it was one of those that no matter how we tried it, just we couldn't get our heads around it, and it just didn't seem to fit into the lifestyle that we had. Even though we were trying to change sort of what we were doing in our lives, the pattern of our lives, the daily routines, just didn't seem to want to work around it.
Yeah.
We sort of tried it for a few months, and it just got to the point of this is a chore, not something that I look forward to doing.
It wasn't a lifestyle change. It just you had to fit their regime, and that wasn't right.
It just didn't fit, and it just sort of, like so many things that your heart's not in, it just went by the wayside eventually. It just sort of heated off. We stopped going. The meals went out the window along with the cookbooks, and it just sort of petered off.
What we've tried to do at Guaranteed Fitness is create something new and different, really, because we find the general menu of options, they work for some. There's plenty of people who've been to various swimming clubs, to gyms, etc., and they found, for whatever reason, that fits in well for them. But the vast majority, research shows over 80% of people, those sort of options don't fit in with them. So that's really why I've tried to create something new and a little bit different here. And the interesting point you made there, Jeremy, about being the only bloke there, for those regular readers of the blog will have read that I've started going to a Diddy dance class on Thursday mornings with my youngest and my girlfriend's daughter. And I'm always the only guy there, and there's often grandmas and what have you there. And every week, the lady refers to going and dancing with your mummy, and then going and dancing with your mummy or grandma, but never daddies. So it's not a massive thing, but I know exactly what you feel. I'm made to feel slightly the odd one out. It's not the biggest problem in the world, but if it wasn't the fact that it was something I was taking the kids to, I definitely wouldn't go there for enjoyment. I can imagine going into a swimming world thing and essentially being made to feel like the odd one out. Yeah. It's not going to make it something you want to continue with. And again, we've worked really hard to make Guaranteed Fitness that welcoming community atmosphere, so no one feels the odd one out for whatever reason, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was one of our first concerns, because we live around the corner and we literally walk past and we've seen the sign. Like, oh, I wonder what that's all about. And you looked on the website and it was like, oh, they do this 28 days. Wow, let's sign up for it. And walking in, we were a bit like, is this going to be one of them places where everybody's in spandex and is got the body
Lady
of
lycra,
and then it's got the body of an Adonis or something, and we're going to be the fat people in the corner. And it was just completely not that. It was just, hey, come on in, this is what we're about.
And there were blokes.
And there were the blokes there, which was a bonus, because that was just kind of like, I'm not the only one in the world. And then to the first session was kind of like we sort of walked in, and again we're a bit like, and straight away just a few people were like, hey, you new, what are you doing? Is this your first time? And it was just so nice, because there was no sort of, we've been here a long time and therefore we're established members and you're new. Which you can get at some gyms. You can, the people who are permanently hogging the same bit of equipment and won't be behind you if you want to use it, kind of thing. Whereas everybody was just really welcoming, and even now people are like, oh, how are you doing? How have you got on? And oh my God, I can see the difference. And it's always just so nice. It's never sort of like you're concerned about coming in. I mean, we both were a bit sort of body conscious and image conscious, and just walking in, and it was all shapes, all sizes, all ages.
All abilities as well.
Yeah.
Like some of the people you look at and think, they're going to be super fit. They're new and they've barely done any exercise, and you think, I'm actually lifting more than you. And it feels great. So I love it.
So one thing I would say, I've said in all the podcasts so far that I want to make sure this podcast isn't come and join Guaranteed Fitness sort of thing. It wants to be useful content for everyone. So take from that whatever options you're looking at, see if they've got a way that you can try it out that isn't massively intimidating, like a low barrier to entry. That's why we have those briefing meetings first. People can come in a non-exercise capacity, find out more with no commitment to do anything. So whatever you're looking at, whether it be a class, a gym, a slimming club, etc., look for one that has that, so you can go in with no pressure, a comfortable situation, find out what you need to do, and then decide if that's the right sort of option for you. So you mentioned, guys, obviously about things you've tried eating-wise in the past, changes you made and sort of slip back into habits and so on. What changes have you made to your eating this time?
I think definitely a bad carb cut down. It's so easy to do a load of pasta for lunch, have a sandwich, and yeah, I mean, it's still easy now. If you've not prepared anything, that's the quickest thing to go out and get. But I'm a bit restricted with what I eat. I don't eat red meat, so I eat a lot of fish and chicken. But it's just cleaner eating. That's the main thing.
I mean, I don't think we've had bread in the house for about a couple of months. That sort of. I mean, I'd quite happily munch through a loaf and a half of bread in a week on my own, just quite happily, and it's just like. Now I'm like, oh,
you feel rubbish having eaten it. It's just like it's not worth eating anymore.
It's exactly what you said there. It's clean eating. It's not about restriction and depriving yourself of things. It's eating clean, natural food that makes you feel good. What would you say has made this approach different or easier to the things you've tried in the past then?
I think it's just because it's still real food. It's none of this go out and buy this really abstract stuff that only one shop in the world sells and it costs a fortune. I can still do this going and buying at my local supermarket. And it's just the odd little tweak. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, fine. No problem. Do that. It's not a big deal.
The science behind it has helped me massively. I sort of go into a slimming club and someone saying, right, you can't eat that. Well, why? If I like it, why can't I have it? Regardless of the fact that it's bad for you, but why? And having done a few of the sessions that you've done where we've come in and gone through everything, I've completely got my head around things. And it's like, don't have a load of sugar first thing in the morning. It's, and that's something we follow.
I think having the knowledge behind the why to avoid something is always makes it easier. It's a natural sort of human reaction when somebody says, don't do that. Part of you was just like, oh, I really want to do that. But now it's like we understand the why behind it, but also like with the cookbooks and stuff, the stuff in there is just what I call real food. It's stuff that I would want to eat, because some of them you get the cookbooks and it's all abstract stuff,
and it doesn't take hours. That's what's good.
Because some of it you just feel like you've eaten it and you're like, I feel really underwhelmed and not really very enthusiastic about it. Everything that we've tried has come out, it's tasty, it's flavoursome, and it's like, that's food I want to eat. Therefore, it's easier for me to go, right, Saturday evening or Sunday evening, right, let's prepare for the week, cook this, cook that. And it was just helpful when we did speak to you guys and some of the other groups, when it was like, oh, well, if you prepare doing this way, because we did used to sort of live day by day food-wise. Now we're like, right, shop, what do we need? Oh, we can get that. If we get that, we can do this meal, that meal, that meal, and that meal. We can prepare all that on a Sunday and have everything in stock. And it just kind of, everything clicked. It's just...
You're not wasting money as well. You know, you're buying a portion of something. Right, okay, if I can use that for 2 meals and I've got a bit left over, right, we'll put that with some stir-fry veg and it's another meal.
Yeah, awesome, good stuff. A couple of particularly good points I like there. The first one you made there was about when you understand the science and the knowledge behind things, it makes it a much easier choice. You exactly hit the nail on the head, Jeremy, that when you're told not to have something, a part of you just wants to have it more. When you fully understand the logic, the science, and the rationale behind it, it becomes a bit of a no-brainer. When people offer me cake and things like that, I'm just not remotely interested because I know what it will do to my body. It'll make me less happy overall, less happy with my appearance and lower energy levels. So it's not a case of I want the cake, but I'm not going to have it. It's a case of not being interested anymore. Yeah, the second great point you made there, I think you mentioned it, Fran, was about the time that meals take. And I also find the level of complicatedness that involved. Like you see cookbooks like Jamie Oliver's 30-minute meals. Now, to me, 30 minutes is quite a long time to spend making a meal. And I don't mind if it's in the oven or in a pan and it's doing something for 30 minutes while I'm off doing something else. But I'm not particularly interested in spending 30 minutes making a meal. And when you look at the standard recipe books as well, they have dozens and dozens of different ingredients. And unless you have a well-stocked professional chef-style kitchen, it's quite an effort to make those recipes. You have to go out and buy the thyme, the basil, the rosemary, all those extra things that go in with it. Whereas the majority of stuff we recommend, we try to keep to a minimal number of ingredients, keep it relatively low prep time. I put a video on the website a little while ago, and I'll include it in the show notes to this podcast, of how I can prep my entire day's food in under 2 minutes. The video shows me getting food out of the fridge, putting it in the oven in a pan, which takes, I think, 45 seconds, I then go off. It's like a bit of a time lapse, and I come back about, I think it's 20 or 30 minutes later after I've done my teeth, my hair, etc. It's first thing in the morning, and I just put all that stuff into a Tupperware box. It's not the most exciting meal in the whole world, but it took me literally less than 2 minutes for an entire day's worth of food. And to most people I speak to, that's far more appealing than a recipe that's going to take them 30 minutes and involves a trip to Tesco to buy lots of new ingredients. Okay, guys, so you talked a lot about the changes that you've made to your eating and your exercise and all that sort of stuff. What changes have happened to you guys then since we've known you?
All my clothes don't fit anymore, and I've spent a fortune on news.
That is a common problem. We've got quite often get tagged on Facebook. Thanks a lot, John. I've had to buy anything new wardrobe now.
To be honest, it's the most fun I've had spending money for quite a while, in terms of especially going clothes shopping. A rarity, I like to shop as long as I'm doing it for somebody else. That's dead easy. Doing it for me, I hate doing, because it was a case of I've got to admit what size I am. I've got to admit that I'm no longer fitting a 32-inch waist. I'm now more like a nearly 40 or whatever. And now it's a case of I'm buying smaller and smaller sizes. And it's like, yeah, this is good.
We
I
just
don't mind doing this.
live out of Primark at the moment because there is no point spending the money on decent clothes when we're changing so quickly. I mean, I'm 2 dress sizes down in 3 months, 2 bra sizes. I've got a coat that swamps me, but I refuse to buy another one this winter because it won't fit again next year. So I'm loving it.
I mean, it just feels great because everybody that we see, who know us, is sort of like, wow, the transformation's amazing. You can see it in your face, just, you appear slimmer, and you seem happier. And it's like, well, yeah, we are all round happier people. We're happier with ourselves, which makes it great. I did find it quite strange. This month we've been using Wednesday as one of our rest days, and one of my colleagues on Wednesday said to me, "You're really lethargic today. What's wrong with you? You've been to the gym?" And I was like, "No, today's my rest day. I've not been. That's why I'm so lethargic. I've not had my 6:30 in the morning wake up." Whereas any other day when I've come in, I'm at work and I'm pumped and I'm ready and I'm alert and everything. And the rest days, I'm terrible.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that we've sort of gone from non-exercising people to almost not an addiction, but we look forward to coming, we enjoy coming, and it's like, yeah, great, we've had another fantastic session.
Cool. You guys are always in at 6:30 in the morning, aren't you? How do you find getting up and getting in that early?
It's just a routine.
It's become a routine. Yeah, and it works really well with our times for travelling to work, etc. With having worked in the pub trade like we used to, unsociable hours, to coin a phrase, has never been an issue, early mornings or late nights. And it's one of those, the first sort of month, it was a bit like sort of getting up going, this is a bit early. Now it's a case of we get up and just look out the window going, well, it's not raining, that'll do.
I try and avoid things that I know I would make an excuse over. So if I'd been at work and had a bad day at work, would I still come to the gym at 6 or 7 o'clock at night? And I don't know if I would. So for me, first thing in the morning, it gets me going, and then all day I'm thinking about, I've been to the gym, I feel great. And then even in the evening, it still prevents you from, if you've had a bad day and you think, I'll have a glass of wine, you don't, because you think, I'm up first thing in the morning, I've got the gym, and you don't want to slack off.
Yeah, so. Yeah, two great points there, guys. First one was about just making it a habit. Often when you try something new, initially it is an effort, and whatever that thing may be, whether it's a new job, a new health and fitness thing, when you have kids, or all things like that, initially it's pure effort. But then you do find bit by bit over time, it just becomes your new habits. And it's, as you guys said, it's not something you think about. Again, I've done this for so long now, it's almost hard to remember how I used to think about these things. But I know it used to be an effort, and I used to have to force myself to do it. But it's been such a long time now that it's just part of my day. The things I need to do are just automatic. As mentioned before, I often batch cook food for breakfast. It's instinctive now. I've done it for so long, but the second my alarm goes off, I bet you I'm in the kitchen within 30 seconds of my alarm going off, putting stuff in the oven, putting stuff on the side to cook. But it didn't happen in one day. I had to make myself do it for a while, and then it became a habit. And the other great point you made there, Fran, as well, is about not putting yourself in positions where it's going to be difficult. So if you can avoid certain situations, to give other examples, if there's a snack cart at work comes around at a certain time, planning your day that you won't be around when that snack cart comes around. If there's a certain friend that always makes you go and have several drinks or cakes or what have you, there's a definite nod from Fran there. There's a big nod there. Then you can either try and minimise the time you have with them, or arrange the time to be a time where that's not going to be a factor. So, I'd meet up with that friend for a lunch rather than in the evening when they're going to force a bottle of wine down you. Minimising your exposure to those challenges does make it a lot easier, rather than just constantly relying on more and more willpower to overcome them. So, guys, I think we've pretty much covered everything. Just as a last thing, if you could give one bit of advice to someone who's looking to change their lives, again, whether it be to come to us or to go elsewhere, or whatever they're looking to do to start making the transformation that you guys have been making, what bit of advice would that be?
Just get on the website without any shadow of a doubt. It sounds so corny, but it's literally the best thing I've ever done. Walking into that 28-day program, I was like, oh no, we'll just do the 28 days, that's it. And then after the very first session, I'm like, we can do it. And we're still here.
Awesome. That's really nice of you to say so, guys. But you guys that listen out there, wherever you are, whatever you're looking at, definitely just do it. Go in there and give it a go, whatever it is, whether it's us, whether it's another option, whether it's a slimming club or a gym. Try it out. There's so many options out there that it's all about finding the one that's the best possible fit for you. And Fran and Jeremy just said there that what we've got here is the best fit for them. It's not necessarily for you guys listening at home, but try those options out, explore, and find something that works well for you rather than something that's that constant effort. So, guys, that was a fantastic one. Lots of great pearls of wisdom there for the guys at home. So, just like to say thank you for your time. Cheers, guys. Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope that gave you a few things to think about, a few new ideas, etc. So, just a quick recap there. In today's show, we had Ask John and Matt, which I gave a long-winded response to Darren from Leeds, firstly covering why he never has a shirt on, but then also explaining the whole changing from it being hard work, something you have to be committed to and making an effort at, to just making it a new way of life and changing your thought process and your habits. Then we had this week's Thing of the Week, that's the webinar. Again, details are on the show notes at guaranteedfitness.co.uk. And if you're on the email series, you'll get sent them out. Just a quick recap as well, as I mentioned at the start, guys, if you guys can give us a rating, either at iTunes Store or wherever you get this downloaded from, we'd really appreciate it. And if you can spread the word, share the link on Facebook or tell your friends about it. If you're still listening with 3 episodes in, that hopefully means you're enjoying it and you're getting some useful content and ideas from it. So if you can start spreading the word and helping your friends and family who might like to transform their lives as well. So guys, next week's podcast is with Dax Moy. For those of you that don't know about Dax, I've mentioned him recently on some of our emails. He is the world's most highly paid personal trainer. If you go on his personal trainer elite package, where you get one-on-one access for him, it will cost you £17,000 for the week. Now, we recently did one of Dax's courses, Body Map, down in Devon, and mine and Matt's minds were absolutely blown with some of the amazing new stuff that we've learned. So next week's podcast, we're going to be interviewing Dax, and I'm sure we'll have some absolute pearls of wisdom. But until then, see you next time, guys.
Thank you for listening to John and Matt talk nonsense today. See you next time, dudes.